It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart the Chief.
This is the Chief from the Dice Tower, and today I'm going to review Abandoned Ship by Reiner Knizia. Very nice game. It's from AEG. It's got a little bit kind of a different thing going on here. It's very family friendly. First thing I'm going to show you, the board's very unique. It's kind of like the Titanic, and it fits into this longer board. If I can get it to fit in. And it sits like this. And then what happens is, all your mice, you get these different colored mice, and they'll fit on here. They go on the 10 spot. And there's basically a sinking phase that goes on, and I'll get into that a little bit more when I go into detail. Okay, for a closer look, first thing you do in gameplay, all the players are going to select a life preserver. In this case, the colors that I'm going to be trying to advance, or that'll score me positive points, and when I get to the top are going to be blue, green, and red. Those will be the ones I'm interested in moving forward. The mice are here. They all start on the 10 track, and the dice you're rolling are going to be here. All right, now you'll notice for everything but the white dice, there's a die that represents each color of the mice. So if I roll a pure 1 on the yellow mouse or rat, I'm going to keep miscalling him, but the yellow rat is going to move forward 1. Let me explain a little bit more on the dice. Let's go ahead and use the red one. So just a regular number with no other symbology around it means it must be used for the red dice. You get to move it 3 if you choose. You can select any dice when you roll them, but you can only select 1. In this case, there's a number 1 and it has a time symbol next to it. The time symbol means that normally when you use a dice to advance one of the rats, after you advance them, your turn's done, and the colored dice that you used is done. The next player comes in and rolls the dice, and they have to select from this. They can't use what's already been used in that round, and I'll explain a little bit more of that in a second. There's an anchor on one of the sides. The anchor would work this way. If I wanted to move red backwards, and I decided to use it, it simply would make the rat go backwards to the next mouse in line. So if there's one real close, it may not be to my advantage. However, if I had something sitting like this, I can move the rat all the way back to the 10, all the way back to the start. So the anchor can be very good near the end when everybody's advancing towards the top. And I'll show you the little top area and the scoring thing in a bit. But when they're getting ready to land on their scoring phases, you can literally pull rats backwards. There's also going to be a circle. If you ever see a circle around a number, it means that it's wild, and you can break the rule of this number having to be used on red. I can move any colored rat 1 space. That being said, it's a good time to explain the white dice. There obviously is no white rat, and every section you see on here is going to have a circle around it. And this one in particular has a huge number 11 with the time symbol, which means you could use it on any rat and it stays in the pile for the next person to use. It's also got the only other unique faction or symbol is this move forward arrow. Works in the complete reverse of what the anchor does. I could take the red rat and advance it to the next rat in line. In this case, it would be the orange one, and he would come up and join him. So it's a way to catch back up or catch one of your rats up. And the reason you want to catch your rats up is as these go around and they're used and they come out, the rats start moving up, the dice start coming out. All right, you get down to, let's say this was the deal here, and I roll it, and I decide, you know what, I'm red, and I'm green, and I'm blue, and I want to keep the blue in there one more. Oh, hell the heck, let's say I use the blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, I move the blue, it comes out. As soon as an individual playing the game gets past the single die, you kind of stop and you have a little phase shift. What happens instead is the player will draw one of these sinking tokens. The Titanic's going down, they'll simply turn it over, and it means the ship is going to sink 7 spots. So let me show you what will happen. I got to sink at 7. So 1 all the way up to 7. Boom, the ship has started to sink. Kind of cool. Rats are in danger. You can see how it's moving down. Now, no rats at this point in time have sunk. All the dice would come back into the game that were used, and you start another round. And they simply roll them again, and as you use them, they come out. Again, if there's a time symbol, it won't get removed. It'll get handed to the next player. So each player rolls, selects 1 dice, moves a rat, pulls out a dice if necessary, hands it to the next player. All right, so let's say we go all the way around and we're down to just 1 die again. Apparently nobody wants to use yellow. And so it's come around, a player selects another sinking token, and it's going to sink 6. Let's pretend he's up a little bit further. If we're sinking 6, we've got a problem. If there was just 1 rat here, and I started to sink 1, 2, 3, if there's just 1 rat, he would go into the water, he's out of the game, and you would also take his green dice, and it would no longer be used. All right, but let's pretend that both of these guys were here. If you ever get in a situation where normally one of them would go, you don't take both of them off. What happens is you stop the sinking track right there, and the next rat that moves forward, the other one's off the boat. So the dice would all come back in together. They would get rolled, and let's say the very first guy, well, he can't do purple, and oddly enough can't do green. Let's just pretend that he had this too. And, you know, it's me. I've got green. I don't want him to see him go off into the water because I definitely can't get points. I advance him 2. The second I do that, this guy's off the boat. So I go ahead and sink at that last spot. He comes out of the boat, and he's gone. So that's how the sinking phase happens. You go through all the dice, advance, you get down to 1 dice. That triggers the next person that gets that 1 die. They don't roll it, they don't factor it in, they simply do a sinking token, sink correspondingly. So let's advance this game along a little bit. Let's assume there's been some sinking going on, and these guys are coming up here close. By the way, if I don't have them on here, but if you land directly on these spots with the cheese, you pick up bonus points. And it doesn't matter if it's your rat or not. If I had this guy here and I rolled a 2, I could come up, even if I have blue in this case, but even if I didn't have blue, and I would get to collect this point for myself for later. Very helpful. You always want to do that when you can. So if we're sitting in a situation like this, you can see right here is the scoring track. The very first rat to get to the top, he's not going to get any points. So although you want to rush your guys up to the top, you don't want to get them there too quick because the first one gets nothing. The second rat gets 5. The third one gets 3, and the fourth one gets 2. The game is then immediately over as soon as you get all spots filled up. You'll total any of these bonus points that are on these pieces of cheese, and it's simply the person with the most victory points wins. And that's the game. So again, the hardest thing, and it's not really hard, but I just teach this to a lot of novices that maybe haven't even played any games before, is they've got to get the symbology down on the dice. Once they got it down, they're up and they're running. I like this game. I don't play it a lot with my hardcore gaming group. They don't really, it's not even something we use as a filler. However, I play it all the time with my wife's group, family community board game group. I can get a lot of people playing it. Once I go over the symbology, they understand and they can go about their business. And it is kind of light and fluffy. So that's it. I like it. See you guys later.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.